So, I made a video where I raised some questions about the pink diamond twist and then provided some of my own speculations. After the episode Now We're Only Falling Apart, some of my speculations turned out to be way off the mark. I postulated that perhaps Pink Diamond needed to train toward being able to rotate her gemstone for her disguise, but nope. Pearl proposed the transformation with the gemstone already reoriented, and Pink was able to achieve that form instantly with zero difficulty. I still don't think it's a big deal when it comes to continuity, as it's not like any of the gems we've seen ever had a reason to rotate their gemstone before. But it's also pretty obvious the Crewniverse didn't want to show a prior instance of this, as it would make the twist far more obvious and easier to guess ahead of time. I speculated that perhaps Pink created the human zoo early into the colonization before she saw humans as equals, but it turns out the other diamonds created it on her behalf when she told them she wanted to preserve life on Earth. Which, I guess they must have done it as a surprise or something? If they had consulted Pink ahead of time, she probably would not want humans as prisoners, so she could have told them not to bother wasting resources in that manner, right? I feel like this episode tries to absolve Pink of all responsibility in regards to the human zoo, but it's breezed through so quickly. It does seem like I was right about Pink Diamond designing the rose quartz cut after her own transformation, although that's not 100% clear yet, but based on some of the dialogue.
The first quartz soldiers are due to emerge soon.
That does seem to be the case. She got this transformation before she started creating rose quartz gems on Earth. And then there's the big reveal of this episode, the thing that calms Sapphire down and allows her to accept the past for what it was. Rose Quartz did not start fighting for gem freedom and individualization until after she had met Garnet. So here's where I'm just gonna interject with my primary criticism of this episode. A whole lot of focus was given to relatively mundane events that didn't matter too much or that we already knew the general gist of, and very little focus was given to the, in my opinion, incredibly important interactions between Pink Diamond and Blue and Yellow. Pearl literally raced through these events in 20 seconds.
She did everything she could as Pink Diamond.
And that's the thing. After Pearl's recollection, I still don't really feel like she did. I'm very well aware that taking on a new identity to do things you couldn't do before is a big theme at play here. It's very superhero-ish even, and encapsulates all that vague symbolism superhero stories contain. But I think that alone is still not enough to satisfy the question of why Pink ultimately decided not to wage her rebellion as a diamond. The updated picture we have of the rebellion timeline is that Rose Quartz did not actually have much of a following back when she befriended Garnet. In the episode The Answer, Garnet referred to the rebellion at the time as a small persistent group of rebels. But the episode Now We're Only Falling Apart sort of paints it as just Pink Diamond and Pearl. And now we also know they were fighting just to protect life on Earth. Rose only began to reframe and expand the cause after Garnet joined the group, and Rose realized she had even more to fight for than she realized. So at that point, when you decide you want to liberate your fellow gems, why not reveal your identity to the tiny faction you already have that's relatively new and wouldn't feel too betrayed, and then declare the rebellion against Homeworld as a diamond? Gems are affiliated with their respective diamond, they are meant to follow the commands of their diamond, so while maybe some would side with Homeworld, I feel that the majority would probably follow their diamond's vision.
She did everything she could as Pink Diamond.
Everything except declaring the true extent of her feelings, and then declaring war on her sisters when that wasn't enough. Clearly, from all of my talk about it, I think this is where the meat of the discussion is, and I found it the most interesting part of the episode. It is a little tough to discuss, though, because I do feel there's a bit of a dissonance between the logistic aspects and the thematic aspects of this story. Thematically, Pearl's statement is equivalent to saying that Pink tried everything she could within her delegated role without rocking the boat. A diamond cannot fall in love with organic life, a diamond cannot put organic life ahead of the Homeworld colony's interest, and of course a diamond cannot turn on her sisters. So Pink had to become Rose to do all those things. Continuing on the thematic aspect, if Pink Diamond commanded her forces to rebel, she would be coercing the gems into change. It's going against the goal she had in mind, where the gems choose to liberate themselves. And of course, as Sapphire stated,
she was following us.
And yet, if we're going to look at the other side of this issue, we can't forget who it was that fed Pink's desires to explore Earth in the first place. It was Pearl. It was subjugated, duty-fulfilling Pearl who set Pink on a brand new path she otherwise may not have gone down. And also, Pearl gained individuality while she was alongside Pink. So it's not like other gems on Earth couldn't learn to be their own person while serving under a diamond, because clearly Pearl had done just that. Then there's that big can of worms in that war is horrible. It has casualties. It's hell. And no matter how thematically appropriate and ideologically in line it is to shed your own identity to achieve something entirely new may be, I can't help but feel that if Pink tried to consolidate the Earth's forces under her reign and declare a coordinated planet-wide rebellion, the number of casualties may not have piled up so high. And more so, while Pink thought the other diamonds don't respect her, I don't think she thought they would be fine with killing her, so merely a declaration of potential war would cause a serious discussion that Yellow and Blue were not willing to entertain earlier. Hell, I feel like such an outright declaration might even cause waves on other homeworld colonies and sprout other seeds of rebellion elsewhere. If Pink did not want to be dismissed and hand-waved away, she should make it clear just how much is at stake. And after Pearl's super quick retelling of Pink's interactions with the diamonds, I didn't get the impression that she ever did. If we're gonna have a full-on backstory into Pink's life, as we did through Pearl, I wanted to know the ins and outs of Pink's decisions. I wanted to witness her thought process, and I wanted to explore the dynamic between her and her sisters in more detail than Pearl simply telling us they refused to listen to her pleas. Did Pink think that if she waged war as a diamond, the other diamonds would seek to destroy planet Earth in its entirety? Did Pink think it was a safer route to build a rebellion on false pretenses? I simply don't know, because we don't have enough information to build viable ideas on. Pink thought her and Pearl could scare off Homeworld by just poofing some gems here and there, which is nonsensical. Pink also thought if she got shattered, Yellow and Blue would just leave the planet alone, which also seems ridiculous to me. So who the hell knows what Pink is thinking at any moment in time? And ultimately, that was my problem with this episode. It was mostly flashback, and yet I feel like I learned very little new information about Pink Diamond that wasn't already inferred. It's meant to absolve Rose to an extent, and it did provide one crucial detail that allowed Sapphire to move on, to let the past go, and I quite liked that aspect of it. I also really enjoyed how Pearl played a far bigger role in getting the rebellion ball going than she realized. But all the other complex issues and motivations and rationales are still in the dark to us. And it's possible that maybe I'm just getting ahead of myself. Maybe this will be addressed in the future and I should just be patient. I just think that if Pearl wanted to rationalize and justify Pink's actions to Sapphire, which was supposed to be the entire point of this episode, Pearl did not focus on the stuff that would actually help. It felt like Pearl was reminiscing for the heck of it, more so than trying to help Sapphire feel like her life for the past several thousand years wasn't a lie. Alright, before I end this video, I have a few more comments that didn't fit into the preceding discussion, so I'll just go over those now. I was a big fan in the change to Pearl's presentation of how she talks, so she could sound more like the other Pearls we've seen so far. That was a really nice touch. On the topic of Pearl, though, Pink makes a big deal about not letting the other diamonds find out she was frolicking around on Earth, but how many fancy Pearls would be down there? I hope they were creating Pearl cuts on Earth, because otherwise I feel like a renegade Pearl would be pretty easy to track down identity-wise. Rose and Pearl discussing Garnet, right as Garnet stumbles across them by random chance, makes that incredibly unlikely coincidence even more unlikely. Just such extreme levels of coincidence there. I also complained about this in my review of The Answer way back when. And speaking of The Answer, this episode also made it seem like Ruby and Sapphire were out in the wild for a super brief time on top of that. And then one final thing that kind of bothered me in this episode. I found it awkward how Pearl tried to have a Dragon Ball-styled fusion ha moment without even asking for consent. The episode treated it as silly and sweet afterward, and the scenario was definitely evocative of sexual tension.
Please don't ever stop.
But still, that's kind of fucked, right? Like, Pearl had a whole mini-arc where she went around Garnet's consent, and a big deal was made out of it. I guess I appreciate the callback to Pearl having these problematic characteristics, but was it even supposed to be a callback? Like, she's flustered about it afterward still because of the status aspect, not because she snuck up on Rose and tried to do a surprise fuse. I get that Pearl was largely ignorant about fusion back then and how it worked, but you still can't just toss out all the metaphors that have been layered over fusion throughout the course of the series for a joke. I'm not sure if the implications went over the creators' heads or what the deal was here, but it was certainly weird to me. Alrighty then, overall, I had really mixed feelings about this episode. I thought writing down my thoughts into this review would help me determine whether I liked it or not, but I still can't even tell. I don't really think I did like it. Let me know your thoughts on Now We're Only Falling Apart in the comments, and I'll see ya in the next review.